related. You know, Labour is focused on three things at this election: work, homes and families. And you know, Palmerston North is a great place to live. Palmerston North is a great place to work. It's a great place to raise a family. But we have our issues just like every other part of the country. And one of them is that our unemployment rate is all the way up at 7%. There are too many people in our city who can't find work no matter how hard they try. And it's really unusual actually for our unemployment rate to be as high as that compared to the national average, which is 5.6%. We've got plenty of public sector jobs. They usually keep us working. But our regional economy is doing so poorly that our unemployment rate has gone all the way up there. But it's not just about getting people into work. It's about making sure that our jobs pay well. We need people not just working, but earning properly. So we're going to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour in our first 100 days and to $16.25 in April next year. Because when you're working, you should be earning a living that actually makes sure you pay the bills. We'll also champion the living wage. The living wage to make sure that people who are in work are earning enough to cover the bills, pay the rent, pay the power, put food on the table. But we need to make sure that there are jobs, and our region needs to be supported to play to its strengths so that we can get job growth happening here. And in Palmerston North, what are we good at? We're good at food innovation, we're good at tertiary education, we're good at retail, that's a really important source of work for us as well, and we're good at transport and distribution. So we in the Labour Party say that we need to work alongside our regions to help us to play to our strengths. We have put together a regional development fund of $200 million that we will use to support the infrastructure that will help Palmerston North and the Manawatu play to our strengths, particularly in the areas of food innovation and transport and distribution. So that's a little bit about how we're going to try and get people into work and to make sure that if you're working, you can pay the bills. The second area that we're focused on is homes. You know, we've got the lowest rate of home ownership in this country that we've had for 50 years. It used to be part of the Kiwi dream that you'd get a job, you'd save some money, have a deposit, buy a house, pay it off over your working life, and you'd have some security in your retirement because you had your own home fully paid off, somewhere to live. That dream is getting further and further out of reach for far too many New Zealanders. So what's driving that? Well, simply, houses are getting too expensive. There's three things that we need to fix. First of all, we're simply not building enough houses, particularly up in Auckland, and we're not building enough affordable houses. So Labour has what we call our Kiwi Build program to build 100,000 new homes over the next 10 years. That's 10,000 homes a year. The second thing we're going to do is introduce the capital gains tax. That's a tax not on your own home, but on rental houses and on speculation in residential property. We want those to be taxed fairly, just like other forms of investment are taxed. And we actually want to encourage people, if they've got money to invest it in businesses that create jobs, not just to invest all their money into residential property, which just drives prices up and makes it harder and harder for families buying their own home to get into that first home. The third thing we're going to do is place caps on foreign speculation in our housing market. Foreign investment can be useful where it creates jobs and adds value, but foreign ownership of our homes does nothing to grow our economy. It just makes housing more unaffordable and locks more Kiwis out of their own home. We're going to take the same approach with land. We want to stop so much foreign investment in our land because we want New Zealand young farmers to be able to buy their own farm and own their own future. The third area that we're focused on is families. You know, we've got 285,000 children growing up in poverty right now, and 40% of those families in poverty are in work. So we need to do some things to make sure that every family has the resources they need to put a roof over their families' heads, to put food on the table, and give their children the resources they need to succeed. So first of all, we're going to extend paid parental leave. Right now, if you take time off work to look after a new baby, you get 3 months paid parental leave. We'll extend that to 6 months. For the second 6 months of baby's life, we're going to give a $60 a week payment to families to top up their income to cover the extra little costs that come with having a new baby in the home. For those families that don't qualify for paid parental leave, we'll give that $60 a week payment to them for the entire first year of baby's life. And for our very low income families, that $60 a week will be there until the baby is 3. At 3 years old, we want to encourage families to send their children to early childhood education. So we're going to extend free ECE from 20 hours a week to to 25 hours a week, and we want it to be quality early childhood education, so we're going to go back to having 100% qualified teachers teaching our children when they're at kindy or at a child centre. When they get to school, we want to make sure that sending your child to school is actually affordable. We're supposed to have free education here in New Zealand, but we don't. We have our schools asking for so-called voluntary donations, and that can be a huge amount of money that families have to find at the beginning of every year. So what we're going to say to schools is, if you stop asking for voluntary donations, you will get $100 per student per year, and that will actually make most schools far better off than what they are right now, because even if they're asking for more than $100 a year, they're actually only getting that from some of their parents, not all of their parents. If we do that $100 a year per student, then that's a guaranteed income for the school, and most schools will take that up. The second thing we want to do is to reduce class sizes. We know that smaller classes mean that kids get more one-on-one time with their teacher. That's important for kids who are struggling, and it's important for kids who are gifted as well, who need to be extended. So we're going to employ 2,000 more teachers over the next 4 years. And finally, in education, look, it's the 21st century. More and more schoolwork and homework is happening online, and that means that kids need, one, a digital device so that they can access the internet, and two, they actually need internet access at home. Sadly, in this part of town, 50% of our families with dependent children don't have internet access at home, and that means too many kids are losing out on the advantages that other kids in their classroom get. So we're going to make it affordable for every child from year 5 upwards to have a digital device, and we're going to work with schools and communities to provide affordable internet for families with young children. So look, that's a very, very brief once-over of Labour's policies and our focus on work, homes and families. I'd love to take your questions now, but before I do, I just want to say one last thing, and that is that all our policies are costed and paid for, and we have a 6-year plan to run surpluses and pay off National's record debt. We have over $70 billion worth of government debt right now. One of the best things the last Labour government did was get New Zealand to a zero net debt position, and we need to get back there again. So all our policies are costed, and will run surpluses, and will pay off the debt. So with that, I'd just like to say thank you all so much for coming out and having a listen tonight. Do remember to cast your vote either next week or the week after, or on the 20th of September. You can vote at Te Manawa, you can vote at UCOL, and on election day itself, you can vote at your local school. Vote positive for a better New Zealand. Party Vote Labour.